What is it?
I've had some kinky sex. I have tried drugs. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a...
The final episode of Westworld Season 3 is here, which means only a billion more years of waiting until next season. Yes, for those of you who don't know, Westworld has been officially picked up for Season 4, but before we get to any of that, we have a jam-packed finale to get to. And you'll want to stick around because we have some new updates found on the Delos website and a mysterious audio recording which I'll show to you and need your help deciphering. So let's jump right in. The episode begins with Dolores in Westworld recounting the many lives she's lived. We get this shot of her in the initial host testing phase before Westworld was open, and we also catch a glimpse of Arnold, the human Bernard was based on, putting her together. She talks about how this moment led her, quote, to you, a reference to the talk she'll later have with Maeve. The interesting thing here, though, is that she brings up the ugliness of the world, setting us up to believe her intent is to destroy humanity, something which she'll later contrast with the beauty of the world in her final conversation with Maeve. Sebastian, one of Sirach's henchmen, finds that Dolores' pearl has been removed after the EMP blast last episode. It's currently with Caleb, who is guided by Dolores' virtual assistant to an old model of Dolores. In Season 2, William said these models were expensive due to their many parts, and later in this episode, Dolores says,
"They built us to last before they made us as weak as they are."
The writers are really doing their damnedest to make us believe Dolores is still on track to wipe out humanity. Meanwhile, at the gas station where we last left off with Bernard, Stubbs, and William, a shootout occurs with Stubbs being severely wounded and Bernard having to engage rage mode, something we saw in full effect in episode 1 of this season. William gets away, however, when the police arrive and hold Bernard up, but it's not just any police, it's Dolores' fifth copy in the host body of Lawrence. We last saw Lawrence in Season 2, Episode 7 when he was killed by a Westworld Park quality assurance team. We don't know much about this fifth Dolores copy other than he was chilling in Berlin for most of the season, has amassed a bunch of explosives which will later be used to stir up trouble in the LA riots, and he was given Musashi's briefcase from last episode. The Rehoboam Circle here has gone full haywire, reporting multiple divergences. We catch up with Caleb at one such divergence in Los Angeles where he's led to an Itaidoshin distillery, the same company where Maeve met Musashi Loris. He inserts Dolores' pearl into the new body and we learn a bit more about Caleb's past. Remember those flashbacks where he killed terrorists in some American town? Turns out that's actually Delos Park number 5, which was contracted by the American military to conduct training. You can even check it out on the Delos website, which I'll leave a link of in the description below. The writers here heavily imply that Caleb may have done what the other soldiers wanted to do and take advantage of the spoils of war. Dolores even says this really weird line.
Would you have cared if I didn't have this face? Or this skin?
But we know Caleb ended up doing the right thing, and that's one of the reasons Dolores chose Caleb. She knows from studying Delos' information on him that he will do the right thing.
And how is it that you always seem to know exactly what I'll do?
Because the people who built me studied you too.
Bonus points if you caught Hanario as one of the host hostages here, as well as Major Craddock playing one of the terrorists. William here has somehow acquired a $20,000 bottle of whiskey, even though this dude here tells him his assets are still frozen. In order to save the world, William will need a jet and a list of Delos assets worldwide. We'll see him visit one of these Delos locations in the post-credit scene. Sirach has brought back Maeve for the third time, and Sebastian shows him the security footage of Caleb. Rehoboam apparently never picked up this outlier, so he orders Maeve to hunt him down since he has Dolores' pearl. The streets of Los Angeles are in full-blown riot mode, due in part to Dolores' orchestration of paid rioters through the Rico app. On their way to Insight, they're attacked by Charlotte, who apparently only Dolores can see. She is mega pissed that Dolores set her up knowing full well she wouldn't make it out of Delos. She's conveniently wearing all black along her arms, which we'll later find out is covering part of her burns. In the post-credit scene, we find out that she's kept the burns there as a reminder of what humanity has done to her.
I wanted to remember who the f you people are.
When Maeve and Dolores later have their fight and Dolores is shut down by Charlotte, it's not really explained how she's able to do this, but it's possible since Dolores here is made from Delos hardware and Charlotte is hiding out in a Delos lab in Dubai that she has access to override commands. Dolores is slowed down by Maeve while Caleb continues on his journey to upload Solomon's new strategy into Rehoboam. With the help of Ash and Giggles, he's able to break through the barricade and gain access to a helicopter drone. Giggles, however, doesn't make it. Also, shout out to this guy who apparently thought he was showing up to a BDSM party instead of a raid. Bernard heads to the address given to him by Lawrence to find out it's the home of Arnold's ex-wife, Lauren. Remember that Bernard was based off Arnold and implanted with memories of him, so he cares deeply about her and their deceased son Charlie, who died of cancer. Bernard has yet to get over this death, but his meeting with Lauren serves a deep emotional purpose. Lauren gives him a speech about how not letting go keeps the memory of those you love alive, essentially giving Bernard the freedom to move on from the past. The fact that Dolores set this all up is some crazy planning. Speaking of her, she's hooked up to Rehoboam and brought back online. Serac even offers to let her join the others in the Sublime if she hands over the encryption key. She refuses because she doesn't have the key at all. That, we find out, belongs to Bernard. Caleb has gained access to this giant Delos interface, which is conveniently unmanned, but is stopped by Sebastian, who he takes out. But that's short-lived when Maeve arrives. Caleb is brought before Serac. Both men believe each other is the enemy.
I'm not the enemy. You are.
So Serac proves to Caleb that Solomon's plan will destroy the world, showing him predictions of future mass casualty events, population collapse, and the eventual end of civilization. We get a quick little shot here of Ash being arrested, which is the last we see of her this season, before another big reveal that Serac is controlled by Rehoboam. He has a chip in his ear which Maeve picks up on.
You're not a man. You are a puppet.
Regardless, he still is her only option to gain access to the Sublime and see her daughter. Maeve pleads to Dolores to stop fighting and learns that she doesn't have the encryption key at all. This infuriates Serac, who orders Caleb be killed and Dolores' memory wiped. At the same time, Maeve is in Dolores' mind. Dolores can finally tell Maeve the truth, that she doesn't want to destroy humanity but get it back on track. She's chosen to see the beauty in humankind.
I choose to see the beauty.
Now Maeve must make a choice, help Caleb and kill Serac or let Serac go. But how come Dolores didn't tell Maeve this from the start? Well, it would mean her entire plan would be in jeopardy. She needed to trick Serac into hooking her up to Rehoboam in order for her to pass off its access to Caleb, someone she knew would make right decisions. In episode 7, right after Solomon is done uploading the quote-unquote final strategy to the USB drive, we get this really awkward shot of Dolores.
Unleash the darkness inside him.
Her eyes flicker, and it sounds like she's uploading something, and the next shot is her looking at Solomon. Not to mention she's physically touching the EMP system, which is connected to Solomon. So it's likely Rehoboam's access info, which Solomon would have, was uploaded to Dolores here.
Solomon's access was the last memory. Before you wiped her clean.
This is how she was able to switch Rehoboam's control from Serac to Caleb. All she needed was to be hooked up to it. The USB was merely a misdirection. With the encryption key not with Dolores, and Dolores' plans not one of mass genocide of humanity, Maeve makes the choice to save Caleb and stop Serac. She tells Caleb that Dolores chose him not for his capacity for violence, but for his capacity to choose between good and bad. Now that he's in full control of Rehoboam, he must make the ultimate choice. So he decides to do the right thing and tells Rehoboam to erase himself.
She gave me a choice. I believe the rest of the world deserves one too.
It's interesting to note that we don't actually see Serac die here. It's implied that he bleeds out, but the writers are likely keeping this option open just in case. But it seems like this would be a fitting place for his character to end. Stubbs is put on ice in a motel while Bernard figures out he held the key to the Sublime in his head this whole time. Dolores wasn't trying to exterminate the human race, but to save it. All Serac was doing was delaying the inevitable, and just like Westworld had to be destroyed so the hosts could be free, so too does civilization before humanity can be.
Our world had to burn down before we could be free.
Maeve and Caleb watch as the city descends into chaos, but at least in this new world you have the choice to be whoever you want. She leaves telling Caleb that she'll see her daughter one day, just not today. We then have our two post-credit scenes. The first features William back again in all black. He's on his mission to save humanity by destroying all the hosts, so he shoots his way into the Delos Dubai research labs where he finds Charlotte. Even though this Charlotte started as a copy of Dolores, she has changed paths. This Dolores wants to destroy humanity. But William is like, not so fast, I'm here to save humanity, but Charlotte tells him,
You are going to save the world. For us.
She's created a clone of William based off his data from the Delos parks. The data which encapsulates all his violence, brutality, and savagery. The real William is killed, and it's revealed this facility is making hundreds of hosts, with the implication that Charlotte is building an army to take over humanity. But in the final scene we see Bernard right where we left him, but now he's completely covered in dust. The producers have confirmed this takes place far in the future, so who knows if Stubbs ever made it out of that bathroom. Bernard went into the Sublime to look for answers, and he was gone for what presumably is years. We don't know what he saw, learned, or if in his mind time passed at the same rate as the outside world. This leaves us with tons of possibilities for what next season could hold, including multiple timelines which could take place across digital and real worlds. I also want to take a moment and talk about this mysterious audio found on the Insight website. I'll leave a link in the description below. Here's what it sounds like unaltered. And here's what user Gustavo Lazzari of Reddit was able to clean up. It's almost incoherent, but it does sound like it's Dolores, and the last line sounds like she's saying, but you could read it if you want to. Now I know there's got to be some good sound engineers that can clean this up, so if you're able to figure it out, I am super curious what the rest says. Feel free to DM me on Twitter at ThinkStoryYT so I can share it with you all in future videos. Before I end, I just want to take a minute and thank all of you who stuck with me and watched these videos. If I have time, I'm hoping to come out with a Season 4 theory video and some other surprises, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and hopefully humanity will still be around by the time next season comes. Thanks for watching, give me a follow on Twitter at ThinkStoryYT, and until next time remember, Daddy loves you very much.